Hello and welcome to an original We Try This production. Today I'll be offering my C++ tutorial number 2, teaching you how to use variables in C++. So first, to use variables, you must know what a variable is. Essentially, a variable can be thought about as a trash can or storage bin. You can put stuff in the variable, and you can take stuff out of this variable. It's basically the same concept in C++, except what you're putting in a variable is a value. And you can also take out that value and see it out to the console. There are a few types of variables. There isn't really a lot, but there's actually a few. And these include integer variables, string variables, character variables, and Boolean variables. Now, as an example, I'll be using integer variables, just as an example. Now, to have a variable, what you need to have three essential things: a name, a type, and a value. Now, the name can be called whatever you want it to be. There are limits, though, to a name, the type, and the value. Now, to declare an integer variable, what you must do is type in the phrase int. INT, or integer. So to declare a variable, the type always comes first, followed by the name. So let's call it int my number. And now you have to add a value to it. So we'll end it with the that, and we'll type in type in my number equals 10. So, you have that. So if we see that out to the console, my number, it doesn't require quotation marks in it. So we see it out to the console, what we will get is the value of 10. To save time, I'll show you all the compiled code after. So yeah, a shorter way of declaring a variable is also, let's say we have another variable. A shorter way of declaring it is putting it all in one line. So I'll say int start and put equals 30. That's a shorter way of doing it. So we can see out start. But instead, this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the two variables together. So, yeah. You add variables together, see out start plus my number, and we'll get the value of 40. These are basic things you can do with the variable. Pretty simple. You can also declare multiple variables in C++ and change the value of the variable. So right now I have my number equals 10. I can change the value, so I put my number equals 20 and change the value of it. So when I see it out now, I get the value of 20. A few more things you can do with variables. Let's see. We have my number, so let's create an entirely new variable. Let's create int finish. What we can do is we can store the value of start of my number in another variable. But instead, let's store start. So we have finish equals start. So now what we have, we've stored the value of start into the variable finish. So if we see out finish, we'll get the value of 30. It's called copying a value from one variable to another. Pretty easy concept to understand. There are a lot of other things you can do that I'll be teaching you how to do, but these are just the basic things in variables. Most variables, you can add something to them. In the case of integers and strings, and I think characters, I'm not entirely sure. But you can add integer variables and string variables. You can also subtract. But I'll be going into more depth with integer variables in my next tutorial. Each variable will have its own tutorial about how to use them. So this has been a retry this production, and I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe.